Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to another episode of eDiscovery After Hours. My guest this week is Cheryl Young from Ricoh. It's a fantastic episode. We talked about what it's like to grow up in a vacation spot, what her first job was, the culture shock of moving to the mainland, her transition from being a practicing litigator of 13 or 14 years over to the services side and what the biggest surprise was in that process. Awesome conversation. You're going to love it. The sponsor for this week is Discovery Master. You are managing or monitoring document review projects across multiple instances of relativity, and Discovery Master automates the reporting across those instances. Every project, every channel partner, on-prem or Rel 1, reach out to contact@discoverymaster.co to schedule a demo. Thanks.
Quick time!
You don't know how to drink, your whole generation.
Drinks on the house.
Yes, sir.
No, wait a second. Drinks are 50% off.
Right.
No, wait a second. Double the price of everything.
And I work only 16 hours a day.
A union man only works 8 hours a day.
I belong to 2 unions.
And now, eDiscovery After Hours with your host, Ryan Short.
Cheryl Young, welcome to eDiscovery After Hours. Cheers.
Cheers.
What are we drinking?
I'm drinking a Kona longboard lager.
Incidentally, so am I.
Awesome.
In Indianapolis, Indiana, those things, I had to Google it when you told me what you'd be having, but they are available here. That is
Really?
Yeah, true story.
Well, I am coming to you from Hawaii, working remotely here for a month, and then I'll be back in California.
Yeah, I love it. So you grew up in Hawaii, correct?
Yep, sure did. Born and raised.
So did you have an awareness that you were growing up in a vacation spot? Like I grew up in Muncie, Indiana. Like, did you grow up in like the equivalent in Hawaii, or were you like literally, I'm growing up in a 5-star resort. This is pretty cool.
You know, I didn't realize it until probably towards the end of my high school years when I actually worked in a hotel.
Yeah.
I worked in banquets and they had luau's out there and everything. And that's when I realized, I go, oh yeah, I guess people come here for a vacation. I mean, you know, you're born and raised, you play at the beach all day long. It's very cheap fun. You know, you don't have to pay anything to go to the beach.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. Like whatever you grow up with, you think is normal, and you're just like everybody grows up this way. Like this is just what life is, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So you worked at banquets. Was that your first job?
No, my first job was at Burger King.
Hey, we have those in the mainland.
Yep. I worked at Burger King. Then I went to banquets, and then I worked for a law firm.
Oh man, you got right down to business. That was fast.
Yeah.
Right into a lot of an early age. How old were you when you started at Burger King?
15, when I could start working.
Yeah. And were you like cashier or cook? What'd you do?
Yeah, cashier.
Yeah. Front of the house.
These ugly brown and yellow, red hats and brown uniforms. It was the ugliest thing. Polyester.
Yeah, that's got to feel good out there in that Pacific.
In that heat.
Pacific heat, yeah. That's funny. You were at a law firm super young. What were you doing? Burger King, banquets, law firm. What were you doing?
I was actually like a file clerk type thing. I was interested in going to law school when I was in high school. So when I came back for the summers after college, that's when I worked in the law firms over here in Hawaii.
Oh, nice. Yeah. And it didn't scare you away. You still went for it.
Yeah, sure did. But I didn't come back and practice here, though. I ended up staying in California and practicing in California.
So you grew up in Hawaii and you went to Southern California.
Northern California.
Okay, Northern California for undergrad. Was there a culture shock adjusting to the mainland, or did it just feel?
Oh, definitely. I remember in college, well, first of all, I went to University of the Pacific in Stockton, California, which is like central California. And there's a ton of fog in like about this time of year. Yeah. And I remember freaking out because I couldn't see across the street. And then another thing I remember very well is my English teacher. You know, he would ask questions and everything. And I know the answer, raise my hand, and I would say the answer. And because I had this huge Hawaiian pidgin accent, he couldn't understand anything. And he would say, can you repeat yourself? And I say it again. And he said, can you repeat it again? I said it again. And finally I said, forget it. I give up. Just go on to somebody else.
Wait, you said you had a Hawaiian what kind of accent?
Pidgin. It's
what is that?
It's kind of like a dialect in a sense. Like I'm really trying to control it right now because I have been here for a while on this.
I was
trip.
going to say, you're going to have to give me a taste of it now.
If I kept my brother in here, I could have a conversation. He probably wouldn't understand this.
Give me a little taste. Is it like a hard vowel thing, or how does it?
It's intonation and we say extra words and we talk fast. So let's see. Like if I wanted to say, what time are you going to the game? God, I know it's hard to come on because I'm trying to speak really good. It'd be like, yeah, I know, but it's, what time are you going game? You know, like it's this intonation, and I can be anywhere in California and I think I'm talking really well. Yeah. Or speaking well. See, that's the other thing. We say talking, speaking well. And someone would say, are you from Hawaii? And I was like, really? I'm speaking good here.
But it comes out when you go back home.
Oh, yes, definitely.
It's like you're 15 again. You're just speaking the same way. And
that's why I was really nervous doing this from Hawaii with you, because I have been here for 3 weeks already. Yeah. And it comes out so naturally that I just have to like rework my words.
I love it. That's fantastic. So what else? You're an 18-year-old kid. I don't know if it's hundreds of miles or is it even thousands of miles? It's
about 2,400 miles from here to San Francisco.
Long way from home. You're a young kid and you're like, okay, my English professor can't understand me. And there's fog. Like, at what point did you feel like you were actually acclimated?
Well, I was fortunate enough to play softball for UOP. So I had teammates and I also had an uncle in Tracy, which was about 20 so on minutes away. Mm-hmm. I would go there every weekend. My first semester in college, I had every Friday off. So my uncle would pick me up and he'd take me out. He used to be like an agriculture inspector. So he would take me everywhere on Friday and I would go with him Friday and he'd take me back Sunday to school, or my cousins would take me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it was really nice. And then I had relatives in Oakland and San Francisco. So sometimes I would go to their house. Sometimes we'd go up to Tahoe and I'd try to learn how to ski.
How'd that
go? Slowly. When I kind of hurt my knee, I said, that's it. Cause I had a softball scholarship. So I didn't want to jeopardize this. I said, okay, I'll just go on these bunny slopes. You guys go on those expert runs.
So, but you've lived in the Bay Area now for quite a while. Are you a skier now?
No. I mean, I do ski, but I'm not a skier by all means.
Yeah. You kick the habit.
Yeah. Our kids board though. They do snowboarding.
See, snowboarding, that scares me more. So on the water, I wakeboard. And I've done that too. I don't like to water ski, but on the snow, I like to ski and I don't like to snowboard.
Oh, I've done wakeboarding and water skiing. And I like that way better than I like snow skiing.
Yeah.
Maybe because I'm born in the water.
I was thinking that just like that inconsistency shows probably the lack of athleticism that I have. Like I played high school tennis for 3 years and I won most improved twice, which shows how bad I was when I started.
Tennis is hard.
Yeah, well, you're not supposed to win a most improved twice. Like nobody's supposed to be that bad. I mean, spoiler alert, I didn't get a tennis scholarship. Okay, so that's you. I mean, it wasn't good.
I have to tell you, my first experience trying to play tennis with my girlfriend, I kind of used a softball swing. You know, that's what I grew up with. And I hit the tennis ball over the fence. Like, I guess this isn't the sport for me.
It's better than whiffing, which I've done a time or two for sure.
Well, I have not done that. I have not made great contact, but I haven't whiffed. Knock on wood.
All right. So you're growing up in this vacation spot, working at the Burger King, and you know that you want to go to law school. You're doing, filing and kind of odds end stuff around the office. And then did you go straight from undergrad into law school?
Yeah. You're kind of freezing on me.
And still no buyer's remorse. What kind of law did you end up practicing when you graduated?
My first job was with an insurance defense firm. So right away litigation. As soon as I found out I passed the bar, got thrown, you go to court today kind of thing. I was like, what? And then after that, I did business and civil litigation, a lot of IP stuff, a lot of contracts, it was pretty much everything.
Yeah.
I did a lot of environmental pollution stuff too.
And you did that for like over a decade, if I remember correctly.
I did it for about 14 years or so, 13, 14 years.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, I'm old.
You got thrown to the wolves the day you passed the bar. Do you remember your first time standing and arguing a case like with no life raft around you?
Oh yeah. That first day, one of the senior associates said, oh, here, you pass the bar, you go to court for me then. And I was like, okay, well, what am I doing? It's just a status conference. You're fine. And this is what's going on. And it was in bankruptcy court too. And I've never done anything in bankruptcy. I think I took a bankruptcy law class is the gist of my experience. And I got there and unfortunately, the others, I think we represented one of the creditors, and the debtor was actually a lawyer too, unfortunately, because when I did my spiel about what the status is, and the other side goes, well, really, Your Honor, this is what's going on. And I was like, okay, great. Now what? I've gotten thrown to the wolves many times in my career.
I won't ask for too many painful details, although for a riveting podcast.
Yeah, talk about Cheryl, you go do a binding arbitration and forget to tell me that you've already stipulated to liability and all I'm doing is arguing damages. Nowhere did anybody tell me this until we were almost done with my arbitration. And I was like wanting to bring up a different witness, and he's like, the other side's like, you guys already admitted to liability. And I said, we did? When? What am I doing here? Yeah, that was not great. Yeah.
Oh, funny. See, my background seems so low stakes now in sales and marketing, and it's like I'm being brought in to help emphasize, X angle of a deal. And then, the person that I'm supposed to be co-selling with can't show up. That seems so like a big deal now, since I wasn't standing in front of a judge or operator.
Yeah, no, it was, some of these deals do get pretty hefty because, you're standing in front of general counsel and all this other stuff too. Like what I do now is I stand in front of general counsel or the legal ops people or partners in a law firm. So, you can be under the gun the same way. I mean, you really have to think on your feet if they throw you a question that you didn't prepare for. Same thing. I didn't prepare to say we have already admitted to liability. And
do you maintain your law license?
I did for a long time. And then I ended up not doing it because just paying it, $500 every year and then trying to take all these classes when I really wanted to start doing more eDiscovery stuff and getting certified in those things. It just got overwhelming.
So talk to me about your transition. You practiced, you're practicing litigator for what you said, 13 or 14 years. And then, there's this thing called eDiscovery that's just starting to emerge, and you throw your hat in the ring and say, yeah, I'll go try that. Talk me through how that transition happened.
Well, one of the cases I had actually, ironically, because I'm with Ricoh now, it was a former Icon employee, which Icon is now into Ricoh. was bought out. So one of the cases I had, a former Icon employee asked if I could represent him in a non-compete. And I did that. And he actually used to be my Icon rep when I was practicing law. And so I defended him, and he asked if I, ever thought about going into this field. And I said, not really. But at the same time, I just had my second child, and she was, I think, 2 years old, and she would complain about me working and going to court all the time. So I kind of took a step back, and I said, what am I really doing this for? It was a tough decision, but the law firm that I was working with at the time told me, if you ever want to come back, the door is always open for you. So I said, okay, I'm going to give it a try. And actually the general managing partner said, I was actually thinking of opening a side business doing that, because we pay so much to our vendors that this could be a good revenue thing for our firm. And this was way back when. And so, but he said, go for it. And if you want to come back, the door's open. You're always welcome back. So I said, hey, win-win situation. And I never went back.
Yeah, I was going to say, it looks good in hindsight because it all worked out. But how nervous were you? I mean, you're making a good living monetarily. You have the confidence of knowing I'm good at what I do. And, you mentioned, the time commitment with your family, but, talk to me about was it a nerve-wracking transition, or did it feel seamless? And because you knew you could just go back and take all the pressure off?
It didn't feel seamless, completely seamless. I mean, I knew a lot of attorneys. So, and the money part was, I became a partner in this business. So I was an equal partner. And so the money thing was not the problem. It was, a different thing. When I was a lawyer, I had to try to get clients, and you solicit business that way. So it's kind of the same thing, but a whole different, a different type of soliciting. At first, attorneys didn't want to listen to me until they knew I was a lawyer. Once they found out I used to practice law, then it was the eyes open up bigger, and they start listening, the ears open up. Then, it's I have something to say. And so that part was a little hard, but even in practicing law, being a female minority, even practicing law was a little difficult at times. So, it was all right. It was all right. And I knew what I was talking about because I had already done trials. So I knew what it took to get all the evidence there, to look at all the data. Back then it was a lot of paper. Yeah. And our company was one of the few that tried to move people from paper to digital. We recommended scanning and all this other stuff to financial institutions and things like that. So that was a good segue. And then the eDiscovery, attorneys did not know about it. And I felt like this is my shot of educating, attorneys, educating people in the industry. And that's why I went into it. I like learning about new things, and I like teaching things. I guess that's why I used to coach forever. So it kind of went hand in hand.
Well, two things. First, as an aside, what did you coach?
I coached softball and basketball.
Excellent. Was this for your kids or just community?
Both. I did for kids when they're growing up, softball, t-ball, and then I coached the school basketball teams, their middle school teams, and then I coach high school travel teams.
Oh, wow. You stayed busy.
Yeah. I love sports.
How do you get your kicks today, your coaching kicks today?
I didn't realize how much time I had on my hands until I stopped coaching. I mean, literally every single weekend, my daughter played two sports, softball and basketball. So literally we were going from a softball field to a gym and back and forth in a day. So it was crazy sometimes. And then coaching softball, you're out every weekend. So, but the way I spend my time, my husband and I, we travel on the weekends. We'll go to Tahoe, or we'll go to Monterey, or, we'll take a drive up the coast or something like that. So it's
those are three really good options. Yeah. especially for our listeners who are landlocked like me. Those are three great options. Cheryl, I want to ask one more question and then turn it over to you for just a moment. But what was the biggest surprise you had going from being a practicing litigator to the vendor side, right? Or the dark side? When you made that transition from somebody who advises or represents businesses to running a business and growing a business, what was maybe the most surprising or frustrating thing that you encountered?
Like I mentioned, the frustrating part was trying to get attorneys to respect me
Sure.
before they found out I was an attorney.
Yeah.
That was a big surprise. I've never treated any of the vendors that I use like that. But then the caveat is I wasn't the first line either. Like my paralegal would talk to them first, or my legal secretary would talk to them first. But still, I never treated them like they were below me.
Yeah.
So I got that a little bit. I would say a little bit, a lot in the beginning. So that was a surprise because I just think people should be treated just like people, no matter what their job function is. But other than that, how much time I have to myself or my family, because I literally, when I was in trial, I would be up at 5 a.m, getting the kids ready for school, and then dropping them off, going to the office, and then picking them up by 6 if they were in preschool or after school care or whatever. And then feeding them, getting them ready for bed, and then working until 2:00 in the and doing it for 2 weeks at a time.
And how old were your kids when you transitioned to the services side?
Let's see. My daughter was, I think, about 4 or 5, and my son was 7 or 8.
Thank God. You still had so much of their childhood. You had just enough of the years of all these long hours and the frustrations I'm sure you felt as a wife and mother. And but you still had so much time with them too. It's not like you made the transition when they were 17 or 18.
Right.
Leave, right? When you still got to coach their teams and to travel with them and to be there with them. So yeah, good on you. Well,
everybody would say, why don't you hire a nanny? I would say, if my kids are ever going to get screwed up, I can't blame anybody. I have to just blame myself. So I'm not getting a nanny.
I love it. We feel the same way. So I want to tee you up and give you the opportunity to cast a spotlight on anything industry related that's on your mind, something that's you're frustrated about, or something that you want to promote, things need some airtime. So the floor is yours.
No, I think where the industry is going right now is it's truly awesome with artificial intelligence and how that can reduce data size. Because as you know, data just gets larger and larger day by day. And there's no way any attorney or anybody in the legal field can look at that data, every eye on a piece of paper. And I just think with the tools that are out there, whether it's brain space or relativity or anything like that, MXLP or Reveal, Ricoh on Demand, any of those, they're just awesome to help people save money. I mean, corporations, even regular everyday clients have a lot of paper and a lot of data, electronic data that, like if I look at it on my computer, I have hundreds of gigs of stuff on my computer. And I'm sure, every Tom, Dick, and Harry has that too. So if they get sued and they have to go through all that, that's a lot of money unless you can cull it all down. So I think what the industry is moving towards that with corporations and their information governance, just making sure their data is organized and all the wasted data, the rot is gone or, gets destroyed. I just think it's moving us in the right direction. Because I think too many dollars are spent on litigation.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't think anybody would disagree with you there, especially any business. My MBA types, we certainly don't, agree that too much is spent on litigation.
Yeah.
How do I guess this is a two-part question. Do you still encounter people who are very skeptical of TAR or CAL or AI or whatever gets applied to the specific situation?
Oh yeah.
do you still encounter people who have that really ingrained skepticism? And if so, how do you educate them or influence them or try to show them this isn't this big, bad, scary thing? And, you know, what's your, I guess, how do you handle a situation like that?
Well, usually, and yes, I do run across a lot of them still. Usually I try to make an analogy to everyday life. So a lot of people out there have Netflix. A lot of people have Pandora or Spotify or even Apple Music, and even Alexa and Google too, right? I mean, it reads what you or figures out what you like listening to or watching, and they suggest other things that's similar, other titles similar, other music similar, and that kind of gets them thinking, oh yeah, I guess so. This can work. And it's really a numbers algorithm game. Yeah. And that's how I persuaded a bunch of them to at least listen to what we have. And then, you know, you can show them what they do. And, you know, I've even offered them, look, you can do it your way. And then we'll do the same thing the way we use with AI, predictive coding, whatever you want. And we'll show you the result in the time. And every time, you know, predictive coding and analytics that wins out faster, more accurate, because, you know, if you have a team looking at the same document, you could be interpreted so many different ways.
Yes. Yep. That's exactly right. Well, Cheryl, I would ask you to share how people can contact you, but you have the longest email in the world. It is absurd. So I don't know who we need to talk to at Ricoh about that, but
I've already tried. Okay. So my maiden name is Young.
Yeah.
I've always gone by it in my professional life. My real first name is Cheryl Jean, and I've used that every now, you know, I just as part of my name, but the Yamaguchi is my married name, and I've never used it in my professional life. But Ricoh says because of whatever company policy, I have to have my full first name, which is Cheryl Jean. Sounds totally Southern, which I'm not. And Young Yamaguchi. I was like, are you serious?
Yeah. So if you were to hit up Cheryl, just do it on LinkedIn where you can actually profile.
And look for Cheryl Young. Don't look for Yamaguchi because it will not be on LinkedIn.
Awesome. Well, Cheryl, thank you so much for coming on the show. This has been awesome.
Thank you, Ryan. I looked forward to it. I loved it. Thanks.